How to be happy, how to be healthy on social media. Boy, oh boy, that's such a riddle in modern times, isn't it? Can you actually do that? How much willpower does it involve in order to take back the power, get rid of the toxic stuff, the nasty stuff, the vicious stuff? How do you make sure you don't get pulled into that endless rabbit hole, where you don't spend your time comparing yourselves, let's say, to others who always seem to have perfect lives, don't they? Perfect bodies, perfect homes, perfect friends, perfect vacations, perfect everything. We know we're spending a whole lot more time on social media nowadays because of the pandemic, and that might not always be a good thing. My guest on the line in California, a guy who's thought a lot about the impact of social media on our lives, Dr. Jason Deitch. He is a chiropractor by training, but he's also a social media expert and the guy behind Look Up America and Look Up Canada. You can check them out online, lookupcanada.org. They're all about trying to teach people healthy habits when it comes to social media, and we really need those. Jason, good to have you on Viewpoints.
I really appreciate being here, and I'm excited for a great conversation.
Can you do both? I mean, can you have a good relationship with social media without driving yourself bonkers?
The answer is yes, you can. It does require some effort, some energy, but I'd say it's no different than our relationship with lots of different things, including television, radio, magazines, books, newspapers. It is up to us to sort of decide how we're going to, control what we're consuming. And, it's easy to get, into the drama and into more of the sugary, junk food type content. That's not uncommon, but this is really the most valuable power tool, communication power tool we've ever had in the history of the world. And it's really something that if we learned how to drive better than we do, really can be, I think, a healthy tool for all of us.
You mentioned something about how we have the power in our hands, right, to sort of decide, look, how much of a footprint is this stuff going to have in my life? How long am I going to be on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or TikTok, whatever it is, how much of that is going to be part of my daily life? Like, do I try to limit it to an hour? Do I, if I find myself sort of like wasting time, do I turn it off? I mean, is it trying to build those guardrails, Jason, into our lives?
Yeah, I think the answer is absolutely. I mean, we've come up with in our Look Up campaign, we're talking about, 5 steps to be able to take control of your news feed, and you're really addressing what they are. I think the first issue most people don't really understand is, how much control they really have over these things. There's been, years of the media, sort of vilifying these social networks as if they're in complete control of the information that we see, just like radio or television or anything else. Yes, there's information that's broadcast, but we have every opportunity to change the channel, to turn it off. Or, again, the power of social media, different than just media, is the fact that it's social. So, yes, we do have to put guardrails on if we're going to be responsible stewards of this thing. I think of it sometimes like a car. Most people, I think, use social media the way they would get into a car, press the gas, not even touch the steering wheel and go, these things are terrible. They constantly get you into accidents. And there's just no way to, avoid it. And the answer is there is if you learn how to drive, if you learn how to steer, if you learn how to, as you say, put up the guardrails. I think this is a tool that can, in fact, enhance all of our lives if we put those guardrails in place and really learn how to steer or take control of our use of it 100%.
And I like the term, look up America, look up Canada, because it is about looking up and looking away and re-engaging in real life as well. And also, realizing that this is a very powerful tool, as you say. It's one tool. There are a lot of other tools. So it needs to be in our toolbox. But it, it can't kind of dominate our lives. The other thing I'm curious about is, what people use social media for. In the beginning, back in the good old days, 10 years ago or so, it was very different than it is now. And people, really try to use it, some people anyway, as a marketing tool for themselves, a branding tool to extend their brand. And so, of course, the stories and the photos and the things you see on there, the little videos, they're not necessarily real life. They are actually in large measure not even real life. I mean, they are sort of an avatar or an image that's presented to the world that you want people to believe. And so again, that's a distorted mirror, is it not, of what reality actually is?
I'm not sure, Todd, how much different it is than real life. I mean, people put on all kinds of personas, and they wear certain things, they say certain things, they engage in certain things, and that's often not their true selves.
True.
That's kind of the point here, is that social media is more a reflection of us than it is some technology company that's doing something to us. It's a mirror. It's a reflection. It's how we use it. It's what we project. And I'm not sure it's any different on social media than it's been, historically in real life. The only difference I can argue is that it actually does get amplified significantly. So it's faster. You can project your image much quicker than any time in history, and you can reach more people than any time in history. But the concept of it being, some way to now make people feel worse than they did before. There's been bullying. There's been, sort of projection of, fake personas throughout history. That's how that there are bad actors, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the technology itself should be, put down and really forget the many amazing positive things it really offers us. The ability to connect with family members, internationally. To be able to share things that you're passionate about, to be able to share, your creativity, whether you're a photographer, a musician, an artist. I mean, the ability to, as you say, sort of brand yourself, market yourself, whether you're an individual or a small business. We've never had this kind of opportunity before, but it is a matter of learning how to steer it, how to use it, how to control it, and as you said, put the guardrails on so we're using it constructively. At least more than we're using it destructively. We're all going to have, our guilty pleasures of sorts. We all get sucked into drama and politics and other things. But, at some point, we have to be responsible for ourselves. And if we understood that potential, we'd be able to do better with our children as well.
Dr. Jason Deitch is my guest in California. He is a chiropractor by trade, a social media expert, talking about lookupcanada.org, lookupamerica.org, about looking up from your social media, but finding a better way to have healthy habits when it comes to social media. Time and again, we hear it comes down to ourselves. We have the power. You touched on something really important too, and I agree that in the media, and I work in it, believe me, television, radio, that there's, oftentimes kind of like a bashing campaign that goes on. There is a fun factor here, Jason, and I want to make sure we just talk about that too, because for me, I mean, I've been on, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram for many years, and I love it because of the fun factor. I can put up frivolous videos. I can put up funny photos. I can share, ridiculous things. I like the creativity aspect you're talking about too. In a way, and I think there are people out there listening to us right now who would agree, it allows us, if we do it healthy and in a proper way, to kind of tap into a different part of our personality where, we can show ourselves in a different light to a whole different audience. And there's something kind of wonderful about that.
It's a democratization of our ideas, of our creativity, of our joy, of our fun, of our sense of humor. There is, and that's very much really what this was intended to be from the beginning. An ability to connect people worldwide and share the things that we're passionate about. And, I know that's what these platforms are trying to do, but, the media has sort of created a narrative of how negative and dangerous they are. They've weaponized these things in certain ways. And there really are, very specific, we call them 5 steps to take control of your newsfeed and make Facebook healthy for you. People can do this. They just need to know, as I said, sort of the equivalent of driving school. You mean I can control the things I see? Yes, you can.
It's such a great point. Jason, thank you for taking some time for us up here in Canada to share your thoughts on this. Really appreciate it.
I really appreciate the opportunity. If people want to know about the 5 steps, you mentioned the URL, lookupcanada.org or lookupamerica.org. It's a great tool. I think in these crazy times, this is an opportunity to either, divide us more or bring us together. And I thank you for the opportunity to share, and I hope everybody listening uses it as a tool for good, the way it's intended to be.
Lookupcanada.org, lookupamerica.org. Jason Deitch, my guest in California. We're going to be right back on the show. Stay with us.